Today, I'm here with Taziey, and we're going to be breaking down a deck that's pushed him to the top of ladder. Not only what the deck is, but how it's played. Let's dive into it. Taziey, thanks so much for coming to the channel, man. I know you got a special deck for us today, but I'm even more excited about you explaining how it works and why you see so much success. First of all, thanks for coming to the channel. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Nico. Thanks for bringing me on the channel today.
Nah, no problem, man. I'm excited to get into this deck, so why don't we just dive right into it? All right, so Taziey, take us through this deck right now. Like, why the minis that you chose? Why the Countess? Just tell me why each one of these troops is here, why each one of these minis is here, and what their main purpose is.
All right, so the main basis of the deck is the Countess. In the latest balance change that we had, which was a couple of days into beta, the Shield Maiden got quite hard nerfed, and the Countess got buffed so much. So a lot of top players and just the general population of the game has picked up Countess as the new main hero in the game. And I think for the most part, in the deck, we've obviously got the Ewiz. Ewiz is undisputably the best mini in the game right now. I don't think anyone would go against me with that one.
I agree.
But as well as that, we've also got the archers, which honestly could be substituted for the miner in this deck. But as you'll see later in the footage, the archer is actually, in my opinion, a better choice than the miner.
Because I'm going to jump in right now and say, I was going to question you why there was no miner in this deck, because the miner is a game changer. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the archer does, but there's still a few more minis in there. What is their purpose?
Yep. So for the main purpose of the Pecker is just to have that like main tank in the deck, as well as you will still find like a bunch of monks, you'll find a bunch of like shield maidens on ladder, and it's just really good to have something to beat down the health of those heroes as well. Say for example they take the Mega Knights, or they take the Pecker, or just some sort of tank. It's just really nice to be able to take that out. But also in this deck we see that we've got the Bowler and the Giant Skeleton. So something that is very important to to use these cards, you basically, in a deck, if you're building a deck, you basically want to have equal amounts of elixir every single round. So you don't want to take like a 3 elixir and a 2 elixir, because every single round you gain 6 elixir.
Right.
So you'll be wasting potential. And potential, every single elixir is like, that makes a difference, especially, high in ladder, but just anywhere as you're playing. So the basis of bringing the Bowler and the Giant Skeleton, I mean, by themselves, they're amazing characters, but together they both equal that 6 elixir.
Makes good sense. Yeah, totally.
Make good sense. Yeah.
I mean, I'll see myself using a deck similar to this, dropping my Countess to start, and then the Giant Skeleton and the Bowler. If they're in my hand, those are often going to be the first two that I'll choose.
For sure. Yeah, it's a really good good way to go about it. And I think for the most part, the Giant Skeleton also acts as a tank. So it's good to have at least 2 tanks in a deck. I don't think you'll see many people taking 1 or 0, especially because you've got like the Bowler, the archers, and the Electro Wizard. They're both, all 3 of them are very like squishy units.
Right.
And you want to keep them alive as long as possible to get as much like out of them as you can.
That makes total sense. So I think that's a nice breakdown. I mean, a good example as to why everything is there. Makes sense to me. The one interchangeable card I would say is going to be the archer with the miner, I guess, depending on your mood for the day. But everything else seems fairly stable. Why don't we jump on in and see you actually playing this deck, and you could kind of break down what you're doing and why you're doing it.
All right, let's go for it.
All right, Taziey, we're getting to the round. Take us through it.
Getting into the round. All right, so for the most part here, I obviously have 1 skip, so I can skip to the next side of the army. But in this particular circumstance, I choose to not do that because I already have both of the 3 elixir cards.
Right.
Now, this map here has the mirror tile. So basically, if you are able to, if you have them on the map, you can put any single units on that tile, and it will clone the unit to half the HP of the original. So now you have two half HPs. The same HP, but now there's 2 units. In the case of this unit, I put the giant skeleton on it, which the whole purpose of the giant skeleton is to have it be KO'd as fast as possible. So the giant bomb goes off, and regardless if it is cloned or not, the giant bomb still does the same amount of damage. So if you're lucky enough to get, you know, a good position for that clone tile, you can put the giant skeleton on it, and now you've basically got 2 bombs that will just, you know, wreck any troops that come in close contact with it.
Basically wiping out everything that's around it on the board. Now, I did notice on the first play there, you put down the exact cards that I said I like to put down too. The giant skeleton and the bowler together. Also, I'm sure we're going to see it, the synergy between the P.E.K.K.A. and the archer. Again, another 6 elixirs. So why don't we get into round number 2? Because round number 1, I've noticed it can kind of go either way a lot of times. It depends on the luck of the draw. There's not a lot of minis yet on the board. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I mean, I know you probably most of the time win, but let's jump in and see what round number 2 looks like.
All right, so in this round, I would probably go for more range units. He doesn't really seem to have any like really big tanks that I would need the P.E.K.K.A. to beat down, basically. So in this scenario here, I chose to go for the giant skeleton again on the clone tile because it is just so powerful that, like, I think you were seeing there that I was thinking of maybe cloning the Countess because, you know, that is also a good choice. But when you have it in like such an opportune place, you just may as well use it. Like, I just would not use it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the giant skeleton and especially when you're using the mirror tiles, it's hard to not want to use that double giant bomb.
Exactly.
So much. I mean, when you have one giant bomb dropped on you, you're like, man, I hate playing against the giant skeletons. You're getting double, man, it's brutal. So nice tank, and you're right, you want it to go down quickly to deal that damage and then let the rest of your troops take it over. So far, you're pretty much dominating. Round 1 and 2 were very quick. So let's jump into round 3. Maybe things are going to change up. We'll find out.
Okay, so in round 3, I choose to go for the bowler on the clone tile this time. I think here he will now basically have enough elixir to combat the giant skeleton. And I guess for me, I would kind of like to have as much HP for that giant skeleton as possible. And I also know that if he has enough elixir to put down troops, the double bowler is going to be super effective because you're able to hit more units because if he has the elixir, he can place more units. Gotcha. So in this circumstance here, I unfortunately lose the battle, but it was very close, and you can see the thought process that I had going into it.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So that means we're going into round number 4. And I mean, you wouldn't have supplied me with matches that you lost in the end, so I'm sure you're going to be coming in with a win soon.
Okay, so in this round, something that I talked about earlier was the reason why I use the archer instead of the miner here is because the archer, you basically get 2 arrows that can hit, you know, say for example in this, in Eisbar's deck, he has the Electro Wizard and the Bowler, which are the ones situated at the back. So I know those are quite squishy units, and I know that I can get a lot of value out of that. So instead of, you know, risking it, because he, at the back, he put down the P.E.K.K.A. And if I put down the miner's going to go back, it's going to get killed by the P.E.K.K.A. and it's going to be game over. I'm going to have basically lost that chance to have killed those really key units. But with the archer, it's basically like a miner, but it sits back in my side of the map, and he can't kill it. His Countess will not go onto the archer there because I think I put one of my cards in the back, which basically will make the Countess go onto that unit instead of the archer, and then that's where the value comes into it.
So far, if you guys are enjoying the video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell because I'm bringing you regular Clash mini videos, and I want you guys to see every single one. And also, if you like Taziey, all of his information, all his channels and details are in the description of this video So go check them out. So your archers just consistently being able to double shoot those arrows out there, being protected because there's a deeper unit that the Countess is going to go after. And you're right, you actually broke it down well, because the miner is going to go underground, go to the back of the board, and start picking away people from back there, where the archer does the same thing, but from her back of her side of the board. And the way that your opponent right there lined up all of their minis on the back, the miner would have just jumped into, you know, you would have been massacred back there, wouldn't have gotten any value. So actually, great example of how the archer is played. And I'm sure there's times where you're like, I wish I had the miner in there instead of the archer.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You could definitely see the value that you're getting, and I love the 2 elixir cost, which brings me to a question before we get into your next match, and that is with this deck, and I know it depends on what your opponent's playing and stuff like that, but how do you typically like to lay things out? Do you spread things out to prevent the giant skeleton bomb, or do you not line them up in I formation because you don't want a bowler roll right down the middle? Like, how do you typically generally set this thing up?
Yeah, so I think for the most part, if I'm going against a Countess deck, which is what we saw in this footage here, I know the Countess is going to go and attack the furthest unit away from the Countess. So by situating all of my squishy units, which the Countess would normally go ahead and kill very easily, like the archers and the elixir wizard, something like the least important squishy unit I have is the bowler. So if I have the opportunity, I'll put the bowler on the back line, and I'll put everything one line forward, so that my archer and my elixir wizard get as much use out of like their abilities as possible. The main reason why I'll take the bowler, for example, is because the bowler gets basically all its utility used after that first clash ability.
Okay, so you're willing to sacrifice the bowler, knowing you're still going to get that first ability off. That's going to be the first troop out of all in your deck for the most part that you would sacrifice to protect the Electro Wizard, of course, and even the Archer, which is interesting because it's a lesser expensive troop, but I guess over time you're going to get more value out of her than you would out of the bowler.
Correct. Yep, correct.
Cool. Great breakdown, but I want to see more. That was one match. I want to check out another one, so let's dive into match number 2. All right, so we're getting into the next match. You're going against the monk, and you have a bowler, a P.E.K.K.A, and an archer to start. What's your play?
So I think here I would probably go for the bowler and probably try and cycle to the giant skeleton. And just to talk about it quickly, I put down the archer just to spin the elixir basically in the off case that I didn't get the giant skeleton, because in that case, you know, I could take the bowler out and I could put like the P.E.K.K.A down, or I could put something else down, which will basically it gives you more opportunity because you can sell units for the exact cost that you put them down for. There is no risk in putting as much, you know, as your elixir down as possible, cycling to their next hand, and then going from there and going, well, I have the archer, so I could pair that with the E-Wizard or the P.E.K.K.A, and then just try and figure out like what works against their deck, basically.
That honestly may be the biggest tip that I've personally taken from this so far, because I did not ever think of that. And you're right. I mean, great point. I want to reiterate right here. You could drop a troop, drop the archer. It costs you 2 elixir, cycle to the next set of 3 options. And if you don't want the archer, take it out. You get the 2 elixir back. There's no charge for that. You get all of your elixir back. So it gives you more options. Wow. What a great tip. Let's bring this into round number 2 and see what else you got for us.
All right. So in this round, I think I'm probably going to go for the P.E.K.K.A here. Yes, so I'll go with the P.E.K.K.A in the back, knowing that he is the miner. And basically what a lot of players will do is try and catch the miner. So this is something that we talked about in the first game, where I don't like using the miner because you can use this strategy here. So I don't know if the P.E.K.K.A might turn around. He does. So in this case, I do lose the archer because of like, inopportune placement. But because of me putting that P.E.K.K.A at the back, it means that the miner only gets so much value. He kills the archer, but he doesn't kill anything else.
Yep, and right now it's just P.E.K.K.A on monk on.
P.E.K.K.A on monk.
Should get out monk super.
I think I lose
that round.
Like these rounds, especially like the first, second round, become like really RNG based. Like sometimes you get like great cards, sometimes you get great minis, sometimes you get bad minis, and on a map like this, where there's no tiles, it's literally just about skill.
Yep, I like that though. Sometimes I like it when there are no tiles though, so it's literally just about what you do with your minis and like you said, your skill. But let's get into round number 3.
Okay, so here I think I'm probably going to either cycle or upgrade the giant skeleton. Like, that's what I would probably do here. Yeah, so I cycle. I think in this point of view here, I would, I don't spend that 2 elixir, which could mean that I lose this match, because that 2 elixir could be better used in other places. But putting down as many units on the board, in my opinion, is better than having like 3 units but they're leveled up.
Right.
Because the more units you have, the more damage you can essentially do to minis and people on the board.
Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense. Plus, not only that, but you also have more troops to absorb damage as well, or to distract.
Exactly,
like
yeah, exactly. Okay, so in this situation here, I want to get that archer, I think, leveled up, which, yes, I think I will do that. I end up cycling, okay, so I cycled to the Lecture Wizard instead. I think in hindsight, I probably should have upgraded the archer, but looking at what I've done here, because he has quite high HP troops with the Mega Knight, the Monk, and the Picker, the archer maybe doesn't do that much, because the arrows, they don't really do a lot of damage. They take out those squishy units, but not really the really strong units.
Yep, makes sense. And it looks like right now they got well, that guard. What do you think of that guard?
Yeah, well, the guard is just honestly, I think he's one of the most underrated cards in the game. If you can get the guard to level 3, he gets a clash ability where you can basically instantly get his shield right off the bat, which is huge. For me, I don't have that yet, but even then, I think if you're tossing up between like the knight and the guard, for example, which have the same costs, I think I calculated this with one of my friends, that the guard, if the shield is popped, has 22 HP, and the knight has 8 HP. So there's a huge difference if you can get those abilities off faster, or like, in my opinion, guard is better.
Guard has a better possible opportunity.
Possible outcome. Yes.
Nice. Which is one of the 2 cards. Actually, I did just unlock the guard today. I don't have the Mega Knight. That's the one troop I don't have yet. So mini.
Gotcha.
All right, Taziey. So now we've seen a couple of your battles. I was wondering if you could give everyone that's watching one tip about this deck that you think is really important for them to see success. One
tip. I mean, there are so many I can give, but I think the biggest thing that I can talk about, and I think a lot of the viewers watching your content will be maybe that mid to low tier of trophies right now, like trying to get up to the top, trying to compete on the ladder. I think bringing the Picker is a really, really solid option. I know a lot of people use Miner like at lower arenas and just like lower down in trophies. Don't feel afraid to put that Picker on the back line. I know that it's a 4 elixir cost. It's a very slow unit, so it takes a long time to get to the front of the board. But putting it at the back can catch that Miner, which can save 6 or 8, or if you've upgraded those troops, it can save so much elixir in troops than if you were to put it at the front, going, well, I know I can get a lot of damage if the pick is at the front, but it's about like weighing the cost of if I do this, do I, risk losing all of these other troops? So I think a lot of it is just like trying to play the game as much as possible to learn these mechanics. But yeah, definitely don't be afraid to like put that Picker on the back line.
Now, I love that. And you're right, because in the lower arenas, you are going to have people like myself still using the Miner. But then as I climb, I'm starting to notice more and more people are ready to counter my Miner. So maybe I get one round where the Miner does some work, and then after that, they're kind of prepared for it. So I'll actually pull him out of the deck and not even use him anymore. So I like the deck that you shared here today. I'm going to be switching up mine to this 100%. Now, one question that I didn't tell you that we were going to be talking about is ranked tokens or challenge tokens. How do you get enough to get yourself up to the top of ladder? Do you just continuously win and not have to spend them, or are you spending money inside of the game to get them?
So, me personally, if you're at the top of the ladder, you basically have to buy all tokens every single day. But regardless of that fact, the majority of players and myself, it's all about, I think there is obviously two main, the two game modes you can play for ranked is Rumble and Duels. The way that I would tell people to look at it is in Duels, you're versing one person and you basically have, you know, up to 5 rounds to put all your elixir on the board, put all your troops on the board, and get as much like out of the deck that you've built. But if you're playing in Rumble, you could go up against someone who just hard counters you and you immediately lose your challenge token. Because you're having to verse, I think, 5 people to get that win streak. Whereas in Duels, you know, like the whole point of ranked is you want to build up that win streak as fast as possible and then hold it for as long as you can. So Duels is definitely the easiest way and my preferred method, as well as so many others. That's what we prefer to push with. And I think you guys should push with that as well.
Yeah, I actually prefer that game mode. It's just, in my opinion, it's more like controlled competitive. I don't know. I enjoy Duels. It makes total sense. You totally snuck another tip in there for everybody, so they should be thanking you in the comments section below.
Sweet.
And I'm going to thank you for coming through the channel today. This was great, and I'd love to have you back another day. There are so many topics that I want to kind of pick your brain about and share with the audience here. So why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on the internet, because I know that you're putting out a whole bunch of great content and live streams for Clash Mini as well.
Yeah, so I go live on Twitch at 10:30 p.m. EST, and I'm going to be posting more on my YouTube channel. The videos that I tend to make take me anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks to produce. So at the moment, I've got a video coming up very soon about decks like this one, and also talking about the heroes and interactions between different minis that will definitely help you in your process of leveling up and progressing through the leaderboard.
I'm looking forward to though. I want to see what a video that takes 2 weeks to put together looks like. High expectations coming from me, but I'm holding you to it. Keep those YouTube uploads, man. It's the way to go.
Sure.
But again, thanks so much for coming to the channel. Everyone that's watching, make sure you go check out his channel. Check it out. Check out his streams. And if you enjoy what he's bringing, drop him a sub. And, he would appreciate it, as would I. And if you enjoy Clash Mini and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe to this channel as well. You can check the description of this video for all the links to everything that Taziey is on the internet. You could find him down there. So again, man, thanks for coming to the channel. I appreciate you coming through.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you bringing me onto the channel.
No problem, man. And thank you guys for watching until the end. We're out of here for today. We'll be back tomorrow with another video. Till then, be good.